Hey, what's up? It's your boy Keith Bryant, aka GQ Smooth, and today's film documentary is called "This Is the Generation I Live In." Still no changes, still the same. Part three. Now it's going to be like part one and part two, but I'm going to I'm going to rant on this. You know what I mean? This is my film documentary, so I do the fuck I want to do. The generation we live in today is so fucked up, so chaotic, so turmoil, so deceitful when it comes to just people. When it comes to the generation we live in today, it's just so crazy because we don't know how to stick together as a people. We don't know how to compliment one another. We don't know how to say, "Hey, how you doing?" And then when we do compliment somebody, it's always some sort of negative feedback in the midst of you giving that person a comment or whatever the case is. You can tell a person, "Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon, good morning, good night." And in the midst of you saying that to that person, you'll get a negative, nasty comment or feedback. Within you're giving that person a hello or good morning, afternoon, good night. There's always something negative when it comes to just people in this generation we live in today, and it's so fucked up when it comes to this generation. Um, you can't even compliment a person. I remember one time months ago, I gave a woman a compliment. I was complimenting her on her hair and what she had on. And you know what she told me? Who the fuck cares? Why are you talking to me for? Don't say shit to me. That's the feedback I got from her. All because I gave that person a compliment. You know what I mean? I'm saying this. I'm saying that to say this. When the generation we live in today is just so fucked up, you can't even give a person a compliment. You can't even say shit to a person. That person gonna give you a cold stare or a negative feedback in response of what you're saying positive to that person. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this. Like back in the 80s and the 90s, it was more. It was more content. It was more. It was more positive. It was more laid back and down to earth within the people, within the atmosphere of the people. When it comes to I want to call this the golden era. When it comes to the 80s and the 90s was the golden era. You know what I mean? Where people, you walk past a person, they give you a good stare. It won't be no cold stares. It won't be no negative stares or whatever. It was always positive feedback, positive stares when it comes to a person giving you a compliment or saying, "Hey, how you doing?" But nowadays, you do that, believe it or not, you get shot for saying something to a person that's positive. You'll get mugged for saying something positive to a person. You'll get a cold stare for saying something positive to a person. You'll get robbed for saying something positive to a person. You'll get jumped for saying something positive to a person. You'll get stabbed for saying something positive to a person. This is the generation I live in today, where there's no positivity when it comes to people anymore. There's no positivity at all. There's no positivity whatsoever when it comes to our people, when it comes to just people in general. There's no positive feedback at all. Period. You know what I mean? So, but seeing as how this is the generation I live in today, I'm gonna keep being positive. I'm gonna keep being the person that I am. You know what I mean? Never stop being the person that you are because of a negative person. You know what I mean? Just because you're getting some sort of negative feedback or someone is just giving you negative vibes or whatever. Keep being the person that you are because, let that person keep being negative within this generation. Because God's gonna keep blessing you because of the person that you are. He's not going to bless that person. You know what I mean? The generation you live in today is just so fucked up when it comes to today's music, when it comes to today's society, when it comes to today's shows, movies, reality shows, all that. Even when it comes to relationships, I'll speak on that in a minute. But when it comes to, you'll see people trying to imitate people when it comes to today's music, today's shows, today's music. You'll see people trying to imitate people like that. You know what I mean? And it's so fucked up. Even when it comes to today's generation, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to marriages, those things are starting to fail because of today's generation, because people are not resisting the temptation when it comes to the devil. You know what I mean? So people relationships are failing. People friendships are failing. People's marriages are failing because of today's generation. Because people are so weak. You know what I mean? People are so weak when it comes to today's generation. People are so weak because they're not resisting the temptation. You know what I mean? They're listening to other people give them bad advice, whether it's a friend, family member, or whatever the case is. People don't believe in friendships anymore. People don't believe in relationships no more. People don't believe in friendships, relationships, or marriages anymore. It's because I blame today's generations and today's society because of that. But people got their own mind though, but people don't want to live by their own mind because they're so fucked up in the head mentally and brainwashed by today's society and generation. They do what they want to do. They don't give a fuck about hurting your feelings when it comes to today's society, when it comes to a relationship, friendship, marriage. They don't give a fuck. People don't give a fuck because they keep living by today's generation and society. It wasn't like this back in the golden era. It wasn't like this in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, I'm saying the 70s is because the advice that I was given by people that were born in the 70s and the 60s, such as my mom, such as my pop, such as people that I know now that were born back in the 60s and the 70s, that has given me advice and has told me about life when it came to when it came to the 60s and 70s, because I wasn't born back then. I'm an 80s baby. So people would tell me about the 60s and the 70s. It was fucked up because of racism, uh, but when it comes to today's generation, when it comes to the golden era, which is mostly the 80s and the 80s and the 90s, it was more content. People stuck together. People loved one another. People didn't kill one another. It was killings back then, but nowadays it's like every day. It's every fucking day. It wasn't like that back in the 80s and the 90s. It was more quieter. The streets was more content and more safer and more quieter. Nowadays, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's not. It's not. It was more. It was more content back in the day. It was more content. Especially when it comes to black people. Like black people, they're doing more killings than the fucking opposite than the more other race, because you see more black people killing black people than other races killing black people for real. So I pray every day. I pray every time I leave this house that that I pray to God for him to be my shield, for him to protect me from all these evil doers out there. Now I'm not saying every person out there is evil, but the majority of motherfuckers out there is evil, wanting to do you bodily harm just because. You know what I'm saying? And then you got people that that's a part of you is more your enemy than strangers out there. You know what I mean? You got people that you got strangers out there that are your family more than your own. I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of people. Today's society is just so turmoil and chaotic. We all need to stick together. You know what I'm saying? We all need to stick together as one. You know what I mean? But people don't know what it is to stick together as one. They don't. And it's just so fucked up, man, for real. Um, it's crazy. You know what I mean? And then you got people, the generation we live in today, you got people that's trying to kill you when it comes to even food out there. These companies and all that's like, people are just trying to, people don't care about one another no more. That's what I'm trying to say. People don't care about one another. You know what I mean? In today's society, people can't even call you to tell you that they love you. Call and tell that person that you love them. Just call that person to say, cuz, nephew, son, friend, I love you. I love you. I love you. All you gotta do is pick up the fucking phone and dial 7 numbers and tell that person that you love them. Don't wait until it's fucking too late to tell that person that you love them. Tell that person now that you fucking love them. Don't wait until something fucking happens until you tell that person that you fucking love them. That's the problem with this fucking generation that we live in today. Is that you want to wait until something fucking happens until you tell that person that you love them. You know? Don't wait until something fucking happens. Don't fucking wait. Do it now. Do it now. That's the problem with the generation we live in today, that we don't know how to love one another. When it comes to relationships, people play you when it comes to relationships. They cheat. They have fucking people on the side. They tell you one thing and they doing another. People lie when it comes to relationships. People lie when it comes to marriages. People lie when it comes to friendships. People don't give a fuck anymore. People don't care. People don't care at all. You know, people don't give a fuck. They don't. They don't care. You know what I mean? And it's just so fucking crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy how people are. You know what I mean? And it just frustrates me how people are in this generation. You know what I'm saying? And me, I try to give the young folks a lot of. I try to give the young folks out there a lot of not information, but a lot of advice about, you know, what to do or what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships and all that, I give young folks out there advice all the time. When I run into these young folks, I give them advice. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. It's not gonna get you nowhere in life, but dead or in jail. You know what I mean? Fuck all the fighting. Keep your heads in the book. Keep your head in the books. If you're in a relationship, a little small relationship, you know what I mean? That's cool. But if you really love that person, love that person. Don't do wrong by that person. You know what I mean? When it comes to a friendship, be a loyal friend to that friend. Be a loyal companion when it comes to the friendship, relationship. Be a loyal wife or husband when it comes to a marriage. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy. You know what I mean? So the generation you live in, I feel like I don't live in this generation, even though I'm here living in it. But I feel like I don't belong here in this generation because it wasn't like this back in the day. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this back in the day. It wasn't like this back in the day. You feel me? So that's the only reason why I'm saying this is because the generation you live in today is so fucked up, so turmoil. And like I said, we all need to sit together, stop killing one another, stop talking shit about one another, stop stabbing one another, stop giving negative feedback to one another. You know what I mean? Eat right, drink right, exercise. You know what I mean? Take care of your health, you know, because a lot of people don't even do that when it comes to this generation. People want to don't eat right, don't drink right, don't exercise. People want to keep eating shit because it tastes good. My motto is everything that tastes good um, ain't good for you because of the sugar. Everything that don't taste good is good for you because it's less sugar in it. You know what I mean? Because it's more vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B12, a lot of omega fats and all that shit, a lot of biotin and all that, uh, 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 a lot of just vitamins, a lot of magnesium is what I'm saying. And the things that don't taste good is actually good for you, such as greens and carrots and all that shit, turkey, you know what I mean? But mostly like fruits and vegetables, mostly. You know what I mean? I don't eat pork or beef, you know what I mean? So I take care of my body on a regular basis, you know, vitamins, water, fruits, all that shit. I meditate, you know what I mean? I do all that shit, you know what I mean? I pray to God. That's your vitamin too. Prayer can be your vitamin too, because you ask God for prayer when it comes to your health, when it comes to keeping your skin glowing and all that. When it comes to your body, you know what I mean. God is more of your vitamin than the vitamin itself. So all I'm saying is, when it comes to this generation we live in today, people are so messed up in their head mentally, physically, all that shit, emotionally. People just so messed up. People just don't know what it means to have peace. People don't know the definition of peace, love, and harmony, God, none of that shit. People just want to live by their own rules when it comes to negativity, deceit, evil, and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? And then another thing, people want to compete with you when it comes to social media, when it comes to family, when it comes to friends, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriages. People want to compete. I've seen that shit when it comes to social media. When it comes to me, people want to compete. And I see that shit too. Why compete? Do your own thing. You shouldn't have to copy off someone else. And I see that shit. That's what you call haters. A lot of haterism when it comes to today's society and generation. That's what's so fucked up, man. It is so, it is so fucked up when it comes to Today's generation is so messed up. It's so messed up. You know what I mean? It's so fucked up. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. It's so crazy. That's why I live by the 80s and the 90s generation, and I live by the golden era. I'm gonna always be like that because it was more peaceful back in the golden era. It was more peaceful. You know what I'm saying? It was more peaceful. You feel me? So, um, this generation we live in today, that I live in today, is so messed up. You know, I've always lived in a radical world. You know, it's always I'ma always live in the motherfucker. I'ma always have peace, love, and harmony within myself and my soul. You know what I mean? Because we all need peace and love. We all should have that. It's not gonna happen. It can happen if you want it to happen, but people, like I said, this generation we live in is so messed up, turmoil, and chaotic. People don't want to live in it because they're so brainwashed and listening to all this negativity within the world when it comes to bullshit that you see on TV that's not positive. When it comes to just people that's talking bullshit in your ear and people want to listen to it because their life is fucked up, their relationships is fucked up, their marriages is fucked up, their friendships is fucked up. So when something in their life is fucked up in turmoil, they want to put all that evil shit in someone else's ear. You know what I mean? So they can be fucked up mentally and physically and emotionally like them. So they'll give the next person some fucked up advice because they want that person to be fucked up and depressed like them. You know what I mean? Which is fucked up when it comes to friendship, relationship, marriages, associates, all that. That's what people do when their lives is fucked up. They want to give the other person fucked up advice and shit so they can be fucked up like them and depressed. You know what I mean? So when it comes to family, call that person, text that person, tell that person that you love them. When it comes to friendships, same thing. When it comes to marriages, don't cheat on that person. You got a problem, talk that shit out. Don't go and fuck around with the opposite sex or go to the opposite sex when you have a problem or when shit ain't going right in your friendship or relationship or marriage because that person, all they want to do is fuck you and have sex with you. They don't want to be there for you. It's not like that all the time, but the majority of the time it's like that. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna be a true friend, be a true friend. You're gonna be a person that's true in a relationship, be true in that relationship. If you're gonna be true in that marriage, be true in that marriage. Live by, don't be, you know what I'm saying, just learn how to love one another when it comes to today's society. People want to do drugs now. People want to get fucked up off of these narcotics. Today's generation is so messed up because of today's society, because of today's technology. People are more in tune with their cell phones and social media than they own fucking relationships, when they own friendships, when they own fucking marriages. People relationships are their cell phones, social media. That's it when it comes to today's society. It's so messed up. So, like I said, I ain't gonna be on this motherfucking long. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Matter of fact, hold on. Let me get some water real quick. I'm thirsty. Hold on. Kind of thirsty a little bit. Um, like I said, man, I had to do this film documentary because today's society is so fucked up. It's so messed up. So, like I said, when it comes to today's society, try to do better. Try to do good. Try to have positive vibes and positive energy, you know, amongst one another. You know what I mean? So you don't have to know a lot of people to make yourself feel important. That's another thing. People want to have a lot of friends and know a lot of people, mostly to validate themselves and to make themselves feel important. Fuck all that shit. Fuck all that shit. I'm important regardless. I don't have to know a lot of people to make myself feel important or to validate me. Those are insecure people. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. It's the truth. And if someone doesn't agree with this right here, it's because it's because it's about that person. If they get mad because of what I'm saying right now when it comes to people knowing a lot of people and they have to know a lot of people is because it's mostly about that person. So you don't have to know a lot of people to make yourself feel important. Those are insecure motherfucking people. Period. And that's today's generation that's going on today. So I'm finna go get something to eat. I'm finna work on some more projects and come up with some more ideas. So this your boy Keith Bryant, aka GQ Smooth, and this is the generation. This is the generation I live in. Still no changes, still the same. Part 3, and I'm here to say God is love. Love is God. Peace, love, and harmony always. And always pray before you leave your house. Always pray before you eat. Always pray in general. And I'm going to say again, God is love, love is God. And this is your boy Keith Bryant. Peace.